officially the beginning of the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock, we are here to answer your questions and help you be more successful, help you make more money in less time as a mortgage professional. We are fortunate to have Jen Duplessis back. Jen, welcome back.
Hi, thank you. I am so glad to be back. I have to tell you, it's been, and I haven't even really been vacationing. I mean, I think, I did go on vacation for my 35th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
But, there's been so many things that have happened in my life. So happy to be back. I'm really, really happy to be back.
Good. Well, we're good to have you back. We also have Michelle Taub. She will be on video in a few minutes. She's taking care of a few personal things. But Michelle, are you here where you can at least just say hi?
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. Well, hey, I want to make sure that if you're on this call, we want to deliver the most impact to the most people. So please play it forward and tell other people about this call. Live every Friday. Myself and Todd Bookspan, one of us is almost always here. And then we have Michelle and Jen. Kristen Messerly joins us every now and then, and we have a few other leaders. But this is a place where we answer your questions and we help you be more successful. So I want to start by just giving an overview of some of the things that have gone on in the mortgage coach community just this week. So kicked it off with an interview with Ben Anderson. You can check that out in both our YouTube channel. It's in our YouTube channel, so every new video that we do goes live in our YouTube channel. And then I also try to post a link both in our Facebook Mastermind group, and I try to post, regularly what's happening in the community in LinkedIn. So Michelle or Jen, did either one of you get a chance to listen in on this interview?
I did. It was an incredible interview. I was telling everybody, Dave, earlier that talk about a disciplined originator and coming from a story of, pauper to being a rich, not rich, but, just really somebody who dove in, looked at the mechanics of how to be successful and executed on that plan. And what I love about Ben also is he is such a big family man that he spends his time with his family. I mean, he is up early every morning and he leaves at a certain time. The other beautiful thing about him is so for all of us that are dinosaurs in this business, we have our new people coming in, and he really takes them and teaches them the discipline, the structure that they need in order to be successful in this business. And, for somebody like him to take time to do that, it's pretty incredible. So my hat is off to him because he's definitely somebody that is very well respected and extremely passionate about his job and extremely passionate about his family.
Yeah, no doubt. We're talking, he's one of the top 20 mortgage professionals in the country, and it was an interview with one of the top realtors in the country. So it's pretty interesting, pretty good. Highly recommend it. Also published an article that also showcases an interview I did with Alex Varela. Last year, in 2017, he was the #1 Latino loan officer in America, did more loans for Latino families than any other mortgage professional. This last year, he was #2. Incredible success story. And the way he is turning borrower education into a competitive advantage, it's special. The heart he brings to it and the tactics. So check out the article, check out the interview. Great article, really proud of it. I had Kristen Messerly in the Mortgage Coach WeWork office past 2 days, and her and I did a quick hit on some ideas on how the mortgage coach community can get to the home buyer first. She even gave you guys I think it's like 30 slides that would be like a lunch and learn for realtors in a box. So this was just a quick hit interview. Her and I did a 30-minute interview on how you would want to, some slides, some ideas on how you would show up and deliver value to realtors on how they can work with more first-time home buyers. So with that said, I'm going to, if you guys have questions about any of the videos, any of the slides, put it in comments. We'll get to it. Because Jen's been gone for so long, I really am going to take a back seat for the rest of the call. You'll probably hear from me 1 or 2 more times. but Jen is gonna lead today's call. And Jen, with that, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's nice of you to do that, by the way. You don't have to, but I appreciate that. I don't need to have my voice heard. I'm always just here to, contribute and help in any way that we can. But so Michelle and I were talking about wanting to first address some of the questions that we saw in our productivity group and see if we can answer some of the questions that people have been asking. So if we bring up your question and you are on the call, please raise your hand so that we can bring you in and make sure that we fulfill the need that you have there for that question. We want to start with that today. And then of course we always have an agenda if we need to, but again, it's a mastermind. So if you have any specific questions or anything that you'd like to talk about or chirp in and give us another tidbit on a topic that we're speaking about, we would love to hear from you. So the first thing is Eddie, and I apologize, Eddie, if I mess up your last name. It's Berengu. Eddie had asked a question about the fact that he had scheduled a meeting with a real estate agent twice, and twice they've canceled on him. And this time, the real estate agent said, I'm really busy. I'll just call you in a week or two or whatever. And so he's wondering, what is my next step? What should I be doing? Should I just say, forget it? Should I try again? Should I do some other techniques? And it's a really good question. However, without knowing exactly the content with this realtor, we're probably going to give you a couple of different answers, right, Michelle?
Yeah.
If she's there. Put yourself on mute.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things. Yeah, there's a couple things that come to mind to me. I think one of the things is, if this is a top producer, and by the way, Eddie, you had said this is a new realtor, so I don't know if they're new to you or new to real estate. So if it's a new to you realtor and they're a top producer, I think I would probably approach that differently than if they were a new to me sort of realtor, sort of producing realtor. And then certainly differently if they're a brand new realtor. Gosh, if they're a brand new realtor and they're really, really that busy, it might be that they just don't have control of their schedule and they think they're busy, and they might be experiencing busyness versus actually doing business. So you might want to be a help to them. So I guess I would address the first, and then Michelle, and then I'll have you address it as well. But the first would be, if it's a top producer, they might be blowing you off, or they might just really be busy. So there's a couple different ways that I could suggest a few things. One would be to look through our productivity, well, not even our productivity, but look through Mortgage Coach and all the videos on YouTube. And there's a search engine there, and look for a search engine that talks about time management and priority management, productivity, those types of things. And maybe share a video with them, and saying, I really know you're really busy. I thought this video would help. So maybe share that kind of a video with them, a few of them, maybe something from Darren Hardy, that you see on a weekly basis. Share that if Darren has something that he's talking about, time blocking and not being too busy to meet people. That's one thing. The second would be to perhaps do a video yourself saying, hey, I know you're really, really busy. So I said it was only going to take 15 minutes of your time. So I thought maybe what I would do is do a quick 5-minute video and let you know a little bit about me and why I think it would be great for us to meet and how wonderful you are. And not you, the loan officer, but how wonderful the realtor is and the wonderful things you've heard about them. And maybe try to go after it, with an actual video. And the other thing is you could send a book. You could send a book about networking. You could send a book, your favorite book. You could send a book about time management for them as well. What to do, the busy person's book on being busy, whatever it might be that resonates with you, to be able to send to them so that you're not actually giving up. That's one way to do it. I think the other way, and Michelle, I'm going to let you take that because we were talking about it. I would do the same thing that Michelle's about ready to tell you, but I want to share all options.
Okay. I forget what I'm about to tell them, but I wanted to bring a book that, since we just did this in our a couple weeks ago, the book, The Hold, which helps buyers go into invest, that might be another book to send out to them saying, hey, this is a book that we send out to our clients that are looking, and it's a great way that shows them how important investing in real estate is. That might be one thing to do. I am not a fan when somebody misses 2 appointments, because I don't believe that my time is just as important as theirs. And I don't like to work with people who don't realize that, because I have to be on an equal playing field with them, because we are equal because we're partners. When I go in demand, and Jen loves this because I remember this from 2 years ago, Jen, being in demand instead of on demand.
Yeah.
It is a huge, I can't even say it, it's eye-opening experience for you. Yeah, it's a mindset change of, hey, you need to be in demand and not on demand, because if you're on demand, that means you're reacting. When you're in demand, you're producing, is what I believe. So, for my realtor, I'll go back to something I talked about a year ago. I do a 6-week campaign, period. And that person goes on a 6-week campaign, and that 6-week campaign, I alternate with, Darren Daly is probably my #1 best received gift. Because I'll send them a video of one that really was important to me, and I'll say, listen, I just wanted to share this with you. This guy's incredible. He starts my day. And I cannot tell you how many of my realtors are listening to him now. And we have like a little forum that goes, I'll say, oh, guys, did you listen to it? And I have a little text chat. Say, oh my gosh, if you didn't listen to it today, listen to it. It's incredible. And that has been a great gift. And that's a gift that Darren gives to us for us to pass forward. I do an email campaign as well. They get put on a 6-week drip campaign. High stuff when I really kind of go after, if my realtor is FHA, I tell them about all the FHA success stories. I share with them some of the reviews that have come from my clients. The most important thing is if you can get another realtor's review to them, because they seem to like a realtor to review them. Oh my gosh, it was a great experience. And hey, I spoke to Sarah Smith, and she said if you really wanted to talk to her about what we did or how we were able to help her client, here's her phone number. She's expecting your call. Or would you like me to have her call you and tell you how good we did? That's another great way to get in with a realtor. And then the other ones is the same as Jen said, which is books. Do books that are going to help them. I don't try to sell clients on who I am and what I do at first. I try to sell them on how I'm going to help them, how I'm going to be of service to them. And then I go into the value. That's my value proposition to get in the door is, listen, I'm here to service you. I know that you have, 100 lenders going after you right now. And even if we can't meet for coffee, how about a Zoom video? How about 5 minutes while you're in the car? Let me know what works for you. And maybe don't try to get that coffee meeting first, because sometimes life comes up. I mean, we all know it. We've all had it. So maybe try something a little bit different with the video, the Zoom, or, a simple, here's a Darren Daily. I hope you enjoy it. Love to talk to you about it. Something like that.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on a couple of things. If they're too busy for coffee, you could take coffee to them, right? You could say, hey, so when are you going to be in the office next? Let me just bring coffee to you. So that might be one way to do it, or tea or whatever, iced tea for the summer. So that's one way to do it. Another thing is, Michelle, as you were mentioning about a testimonial from a realtor, why not get a video testimonial from a realtor? One of the best ways to do that is to go to one of your closings and ask your realtor and your hopefully you're asking your clients, hey, can I have a video testimonial? But it'd be great if you can get a video testimonial from your realtor as well and say, hey, would you mind doing a quick video testimonial? I'm trying to break into a couple of relationships, and it'd be really great if they heard from you, directly. And you can send the video to these people as well, right? So that's another added layer of what works best for you. the other thing that I do, and Michelle, I have, mine's 100 days now. It used to be 70 days of, I call it my partner impression program, or PIP. And it's now 100 days. It's 10 things that I do every 10 days, and it takes up 100 days. And at the end of 100 days, if they're not working with me, then, they can be in my drip campaign, and that's where they'll stay. And I'll still invite them to, classes and whatnot, but I won't be spending my time like I would with my A pluses, A's and B's. And so in that 100 days, one of the things that we do is that we initiate a shadow file for a realtor. So I use Jungo, for example. And so I do milestone updates, and I've been doing this for 20 years now. And I know it's real popular now, and so mine's, been in place for a while, but I add the prospective realtor to a loan transaction. There's nothing that goes out to the parties in the milestone updates that would be of sensitive nature. So there's nothing that's there. But I want them to be able to see what it's like to work with me before they actually engage with working with me. Because we can tell them how wonderful we are and that we keep them up to date, etc. But I want them to be shadowed in an actual live deal to see the frequency of what we do and how we communicate, which includes, by the way, if there's part of the communication, which includes that I call the buying agent, right? I call the agent and have a conversation with them. Then I call them at that time as well and say, this is the point where I would be calling you and just having this conversation. So just some other added layers that you could do to impress them before you even meet them. You could put them in this drip campaign. So I wanted to share some of that with you. Eddie is on the call, and he said that she's a brand new realtor, 3 months in business, and all great ideas. Thank you. So she's 3 months in business. I would just try to find out, what is she so busy with? I mean, is she really doing that well? I mean, statistically, that doesn't happen in 3 months. So I'd really be curious to know what she's doing, and maybe she could really utilize your help. So whatever you could do to give her some tools to help her business, I think would be really, really good. Maybe even writing your own white paper that says, so you're a new realtor, 10 mistakes new realtors have made, and interview and call all of your realtors and say, what is one mistake you made when you were a new realtor? Because I'm trying to put together a little white paper that I want to send out to people. So, and maybe you drip that in 10 different videos as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you could skin this cat. It's just really whether or not you want to actually proceed with it. And I think, to Michelle's point, in demand versus on demand is a huge game changer, whether it's a realtor or clients, it's huge. So anyway, is that, hopefully we answered all that question. Dave asked, what was that name again? I think he was asking, what was the book that you mentioned, Michelle?
The book that I mentioned was called, hold on, I'm going to grab it because my brain, I'm 51
that'd be
now,
good.
So my brain just
and
stopped.
Dave, let me know. Dave, let me know if that's not the question you were asking. Eddie also asked, what CRM do you use to drip and how do you control it? Like I said, I use Jungo, and that's how I do it. It's automatic. Everything's automatic, unless there's a specific action that comes to me that asks me to send a book, in which case I'll go to my library of books and write a little note in it, and then my assistant will send it to the realtor. So hopefully that answers that question. Michelle, what CRM are you using? I should know this
I'm
by
using
now.
Jungo
We've
as
talked
well.
about this 100 times.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm using Jungo as well, and the book's name is Hold, HOLD, How to Find, Buy, and Rent Houses for Wealth.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, and by the way, guys, I want to give you a heads up that, Todd Bookspan, again, as you know, had him as a guest, and we're going to have him as a guest again. So if you have questions for him, that is the author of that book is going to be a guest on the Mortgage Coach community call in the coming weeks. So start coming up with the questions that you have. Perfect.
Yep, perfect. I was talking to someone yesterday, and if I can find it, I'll post it later. He is a millennial, and I know I don't like using that word. I try not to because millennials don't call me boomer, a boomer. But he had a really, really good book that he was reading that is specifically for millennials about buying real estate to create wealth. Start young and move forward. So if I can locate that, I'll post it on our shared page so that if you are working in that space or talking to a millennial realtor or other, entity, or you want to give it to a client, you have at least that as well. I wanted to share that with you. Eddie says he has Django and he's still learning it. And yeah, it's a process, that's for sure. But I will throw this out to you, Eddie. If you want to reach me and you want to do a shared screen with me, I'll walk you through my Django so you can see how I set it up to see if it helps accelerate your learning curve. I'm happy to do that for you. Okay, so let's go on to the next topic, and there's no other, as long as there's no other questions there, and Michelle, you don't have anything else to add in that arena at this time?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. So let's move on to Kelly Sherman's question. She said that she was thinking about doing an expo. She's a new loan officer, having been 15 years as a realtor and never gone to an expo, which kind of tells you about expos sometimes, right? But she wants to know, should I be spending the money to sponsor this expo or go to this expo? And of course I have an opinion on that. I love expos. I love them. I love them because I love people. On the disc profile, I'm a 99I. You can get to 100 and that's it, right? So I love people. So the expo for me is like a big class reunion. I don't look at it as, a stiff-tied kind of event. Now, I do see loan officers doing that at expos, and I think that's just fine. If that's your style, then take the more professional route. That's great. What I've done for mine is one time the expo was near March Madness, so we all dressed in referee shirts and had a basketball hoop, and we were playing games about knowing statistics about the area. We did that one year. Another year we did a photo booth with all those crazy pictures and stuff. And we took pictures of everybody and then we posted them online all together in a place, and they could download them. We just did it ourselves. And it was sort of like because it was football, it was a tailgate party. So we gave away a little grill and in a picnic basket or something like that. So we did something like that. Gosh, I'm trying to think of all the years I did. One year I got a medical coat from somebody. And I said, the doctor's in, and I had, and I was talking about doctor loans. You could also just say the doctor's in, and I'm the expert I'm a specialist in a certain area. You could do something like that. And so that everything that you're handing out has to do with first aid kits or whatever. I think if you have fun with an expo, it makes you more memorable. You have more fun. There's so much more activity than just standing there with tons of flyers sitting on a flat table and sort of being stiff and having a little bowl of candy and saying, put your name in for, a drawing for, an iPad that everybody has now, right? Or whatever it may be. So my opinion is it's worth every penny. Now, it also means you've got to do some follow-up. You can't just go to it, have a bunch of fun, and then not follow up. You are there to meet and greet people and find out what they do. And if you can schedule appointments while they're there with their cell phone and your cell phone, and the heightened, we'll call it the love-o-meter, right? They really love you because they're having fun. And then afterwards, the love-o-meter goes down and it's harder to get an appointment. So I'd try to get the appointment right then and there to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to be following up with. It'll give you time to pull together what you want to share with them based on what their needs are. So there's just a few things. I'm sure as Michelle, you talk, I'm going to think of some more things to add to it. But what are your thoughts on expos?
Okay, so I'm in agreement with Jen. They are great. I use them for networking. I use them for recognition, people knowing who I am. That's really, I go there with no expectations of leaving with anything. I go there to bring value. Sponsoring a booth, you're right. do something fun. If you're going to sponsor booths, do something fun to get people to your booth. Um, Everybody's walking around there, you know, grabbing all their free swag. I always give away swag when I'm there, something fun, you know, something high end, whether it be a phone charger or water bottles or anything with my name brand on it. I do that. Yeah. I love the fact that trying to get the appointment at the day of, that's fantastic, because you're right. As soon as you leave, I mean, I've done my follow through, and then people go, "Who are you?" And I'll go, "I don't know. We spent a half an hour talking yesterday." So you just sit there and go, "Okay,
I'm the one with the phone charger."
Exactly. I'm the one with the phone charger. Or we had somebody, so one of our lenders dressed up like the progressive girl. I mean, and he was male, and he was unforgettable. You couldn't, you could not forget him. And he had a lot of people going there, and he made a lot of connections there. This is really for you networking and connecting with people. I also use it to do a little bit of private investigation on what's going on in my market to see what other people are doing. I take every opportunity, every coaching call, every mortgage coach forum that we do here. Every time I listen to a webinar, I really try to take 3 things away that I'm going to either do and execute on, or that I need to change, or I'll write down some ideas and I'll go home and do some more research on them. So look at it as the expo, going in and take 3 things from that expo that you're going to execute on, and I think you'll have great success. And if you don't like people, don't go, because it is definitely, you have to be that outgoing. I'm not that outgoing person. I'm the shy girl in the corner. So that they're a little bit more difficult for me. So I always bring somebody who's a little bit more radiant and a little bit more outgoing than I am, because they help kind of bring me in. So go with a partner if you can. That would really be good, so that if nobody does stop by your booth, at least you'll have somebody to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I see time and time again, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's local or national, you know, people sitting in chairs behind their table, right? And no chairs allowed, push table back. We did 1 year, we got a TV, and we had ESPN sports running. This was at the Northern Virginia Association of Realtors. It was a bigger event. We all wore our favorite football jersey. We bought fake green grass, right? And it was just, and we had little stress ball footballs with my name on it, you know, and my information. And it was great because we were kind of throwing them and tossing them back, you know, to people that were two booths down. And I mean, we were just having a really, really good time. And, you know, again, and not even, maybe about a year ago, and this happened maybe 7 years ago, about a year ago, someone had said to me, "I remember when you did that. Now I remember you." So, you know, it is for you to show who you are outside of the professionalism that we all have, you know, with running numbers and knowing how to do a total cost analysis and structure a loan effectively and have great systems and experiences for our clients. But it's also a great time for them to see who you are. And especially in this day and age, how many times have we talked about this on this call, is that, you know, why we do it, the reason we're doing videos is that we're trying to get people to see who we are. You know, and I've talked about this, I think another time, is, you know, the know, like, and trust. People know what we do, they like us, but they don't always trust us because they don't know who we are. They know what we do, but they don't know who we are. And so this is a really, really good time for people to be able to see who you are. One other thing I was thinking when you were saying what you had on your table and everything, I usually, every time I do an expo, I will have a class within a week or 2 after the expo, some type of class that I'm going to be teaching, like catchphrases, which is scripting, or, you know, rent versus own, or math class, or relationship building, or social media, whatever class you're going to be doing. But I usually bring that to the event so that I'm handing it out to people to attend the class as well, to get the attendance up at the seminars and classes that I'm giving. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You know, so hopefully that answers your question. And we'll hold on here. Let's see. Eddie said, "I have a business showcase expo coming in August 16th. I'm setting up a 40-inch TV and showing TCAs." Perfect. I think that's perfect, especially if it's running. If you have it as a PowerPoint and it's running and it's active and not just stagnant, I think that would be perfect, because it would be great for you to say, hey, look, let's talk about rent versus own. Let's talk about investor loans. Let's talk about paying cash versus not. So that's great. I think that's great. So if there aren't any more questions on that, we're going to keep moving along. Michelle, scripting for realtors. So we were asked this question about, and I'm sorry, I don't know who it is right now, but we were asked the question about, do you have an assistant who calls and makes appointments for you with realtors and referral partners? And if you do, what kind of scripting do you have? So I just want to let everybody know that I put a couple of scripts into our files, our file section in the group, in the productivity group. And so you can go get that and tweak it and make it your own. There's a couple good ideas there. But I think I wasn't sure about the question, whether it was cold calling or whether it was a soft call, and so I think there's a different approach to that. What I put up on our page is cold calling scripting for my assistant and for myself if I were to do it. But I would not do that for warm calls to my people that I already know. So in that case, my assistant, I call I hate the word assistant. I just called it that. I call it relationship manager. So my relationship manager, what he does is he calls and makes all of my annual review appointments. He gets the initial information for me, and then he prepares a total cost analysis, and then I go through it and tweak it before I make the phone call to the client and do the actual annual review. And then he also calls everybody who attends the seminar or class as a follow-up to have a one-to-one if I choose that I want to meet with them. And then he also calls on a regular basis my realtors to schedule my ongoing one-to-ones with them to make sure that we're still top of mind. And they are not always coffee, they're cocktails, they're top golf. I have, sometimes it's tennis. Sometimes my one-to-ones are me playing tennis with one of my partners. So it's just really whatever they like to do. If I like to do it as well, then I try to make it more fun when I'm doing them. But he does all those calls, and for that, I don't really have a script for that. He's just really good at calling on my behalf. To schedule time for us to get together and to continue forward with our relationship. And that's usually what he says for that. So Michelle, did you want to, I know you have scripts for your people as well. So do you want to share what you do or provide for your people?
Yeah, so I'll definitely send up some of the scripts that we have. We're not big scripters here. We're big feelers. I've worked with my assistant or partner for a while, and so we kind of have the same feel. We know what we're doing. We know what the goal we're trying to accomplish. Mine's always about, hey, hi, it's Melissa. I'm calling from Michelle's office at the town group here at United American, and hope your day is going well. We're very good in making sure we recognize them first. Is this a good time? We'd love to schedule some time. We've got a new product we want to talk about, or we haven't, looks like we're, past our quarter check-in. Want to schedule our quarter check-ins for the next 2 months, or our next 2 quarters. Would you have time to do that now? We're starting to use Calendly, Calendy, so we can have people set appointments. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
We're starting to use that. So that's going to be great. As far as when my partner calls for appointments, the first thing when a realtor sends me a lead in, my assistant picks it up immediately, and she responds to the realtor immediately. Hi, it's Melissa. Just want to let you know we got your lead. We're getting her on the schedule. We'll let you know when the appointment's been scheduled. And she then, when the appointment's scheduled, hi, Chris, thanks again for referring Jeff Smith to us. We have an appointment set for 6:30. Michelle will update you as soon as the appointment's done. We do an appointment, and then we keep them in the loop. So we're really communicative with them, which our realtors love. And we don't always do a phone call with them because they don't have time sometimes for a phone call. A quick email or text update is perfect for them. Mm-hmm. So we do that. I don't know if that helps or if that helps answer the question.
Yeah, well, his question was, how do we get, if they're setting appointments with realtors, not so much the communication, but setting an appointment with a realtor. And I'm assuming it's a cold call because I think it's pretty easy to set appointments with your already realtors, right? Your soft call realtors. So with those that you've not had any relationships with before, I, have mentioned before, I'm not a fan of cold calling. I feel that I can get a soft referral, a warm referral, virtually from everybody that I have, relationship with, as long as I ask for it. And I don't think that we always do. We have one realtor in one office, and we're happy with that relationship, and sometimes feel, at least I'm finding this through some people I'm coaching, is they say, well, I don't want to have a relationship with another person in that office because I'm afraid that my first person is going to be mad with me if I, extend beyond them into somebody else in my office. And, and it's really not that way. I mean, I just, all I can say is it's really not that way. And I think they're very happy to share. We just have to be asking them if they would be willing to introduce us to someone, in fact, saying something like, we just absolutely love working with you. And, we don't always tell you that. We're always talking about transactions, but we don't ever take the time to say thank you for the relationship and the friendship that we have together. And Jen wanted me to reach out and get in touch with you and see if there was someone else who is just like you in your office, because we love working with you. We'd love to work with someone just like you. Is there someone that you would feel comfortable introducing us to? And I would go from there, and see if they have someone that they can introduce you. And that's something you can do as a loan officer in a one-to-one or on a call, as well as having someone on your team doing the same thing too. And that reminds me, Michelle, when you were talking about the reviews for the realtors, I have a page of, it's just a flyer, a one-page flyer that says what realtors are saying about Jen or something like that. It's just a bunch of mini quotes that are in a whole bunch of different directions on one page, to send to them. So that might be something, that you can use when you're doing that introduction. And I think if you can create your own bio, your own elevator speech, so to speak, that you can send to that realtor and say, hey, you know what, to make it easier for you, what if I just sent you a little blurb on me? You can copy and paste it, put your own personality on it. And then that way you can include me, that information and me in the email that you send to the other realtor introducing me. And what it's doing is it's telling them to put something in action. You're giving them there are no barriers to that introduction because you're providing the information, and they're on the hook now to copy you on that email right back. And I think that's a great way to meet realtors as well. So you can make the phone call, or you can certainly ask for an email introduction, or some other type of introduction if they're going to be at an equal networking group or something like that. So any other thoughts on that, Michelle?
No, I'm in complete agreement. I don't cold call anymore, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit further in my career. It never was successful for me. It's always been successful in either meeting them face to face or asking for the referral from somebody I'm working with in the agent or in a realtor group. And don't be afraid to ask them, to say, hey, I need your help. I'm trying to grow my business. And, realtors like to help just as much as we like to help. And also, really working your listing agents and your buyer's agents on every transaction. I mean, work them, that's a warm lead. You already have an introduction and you already have a success story by closing the loan. So utilize those things more than taking a list of realtors and start calling them. I mean, this can be tough. It's a tough break-in. I mean, especially if you're not known in the area and you don't have something of value that you're going to be able to offer them that's different than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of people that subscribe to cold calling, and I think that's wonderful. And, and if you're listening and you are that kind of person and you have something to lend to this, we want your participation, because it's not something we do on a regular basis. So it's hard for me to advocate that type of activity to get an appointment, right? And I honestly, even you made the comment, maybe because you're just tenured and of course I'm tenured too, but I actually never did it. I just was apprehensive about it. I mean, the story is, I got the rate sheets like everybody else, right? And go take the donuts like everybody else. And I would drive circles around the real estate office, eventually sit in my car, eat the donuts, and throw away the rate sheets, right? Because I was just so afraid of cold calling. So, I mean, that's really the bottom line. And honestly, you guys can all say you've done the same thing at one point or another. You did something similar. So because I'm so apprehensive about it, and I'm not good at it, I am much better at asking for help. And I think that to your point, Michelle, it's, we want to make sure we're not asking for a favor, because people are more apprehensive about providing favors as they are help. Can I get some help from you? I wondered if I could get your help. People are like, yeah. When you say, hey, can I ask a favor? They're like, yeah. So there's just a different way of doing that. But I think if you start doing that and start asking, every realtor you work with for another referral to another realtor, very quickly, you're going to have a great group that you're meeting with, and hopefully enough that you can say goodbye to some people that are dead weight and bring some new people in, right? And you'll be able to pick from the litter as to who you really want to work with in a shorter period of time. And I think that'll be, super beneficial. Hey, by the way, Kathleen Kerins, Kerins, sorry, Kathleen, asked who was the author of Hold, HOLD, it's Hold, not Sold, and it's Steve Chader, CHADER. I just looked it up for you. It's a great book. I have the book. I read it years ago. It's a great book. It's a really great book. Okay, so
it is.
We're getting
Jen,
close.
Can I jump in on one thing?
Yeah.
So for some of you cold callers who love to do this, this is something that, and it's not mine. Hunter Marquardt over at RPM Mortgage, now Lend USA, he had his assistant, and I was like, oh my God, when I heard this, I was like, I don't think I could do this. His assistant or LP1 was making the phone calls to realtors, the top realtors in the area, and he would get on the phone and literally he'd say, well, I'm calling from Hunter's office. We'd like to make our appointment with you. And the realtor would say, well, yeah, I don't want an appointment. And the assistant would go, well, why not? He's the number one agent in, San Ramon. And it was pretty amazing. And he got a lot of appointments for that, because most people aren't used to hearing that. So that might be something to try if you really have the guts to do it and say,
well, if you're
why not?
D,
why don't you want it?
Yeah, if you're a really, really high D, a 99, 90, 95 to 100 D, that's a perfect process for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, so the last thing, and so we're at 12, 15 minutes before we close up. So last thing that we want to talk about is something that, and unless somebody has another question, we're going to go ahead and just keep moving forward with this, is that someone had made a comment about rent versus own and the struggle with rent versus own and doing a TCA for rent versus own. And it's not the semantics of actually putting one together. It's presenting it to a client who doesn't see the value in having a higher mortgage payment, than their rent. And with us now having new guidelines for taxation and having the standard deduction, it's not as powerful. And so I have some thoughts on it, but instead of me doing my thoughts first, I'm going to let you do your thoughts first, Michelle, on this topic.
Okay, I'm so sorry because you caught me while I was getting my dog into the grooming truck. What topic are we talking about?
This is the rent versus zone total cost analysis. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So first of all, rent versus own. Okay, so that book Hold, I'm telling you right now, if you're willing to spend the $9.98 for a paperback copy of it, get it. Because the next person that tells you on rent versus own that they don't see the value in it, say, I've got a book for you, highlight a chapter. When you read through it, you'll know exactly what chapter to do, and send it to them and say, I'll call you in a week after you've read it. Because I liked his approach. I commented on his approach. I like the fact that he's going in and finding properties that fit the particular price point that the client wants. They want they don't want to pay more than $1,700 a month. he goes and he presents that first to them. And then he starts moving up. So it's a great way. It's kind of like what I do with rate shoppers that are shopping me on bankrate.com. I give them the rate that's on bankrate.com. And then I give them a series of rates to show them why the bankrate.com is not the best rate for them. So I don't hide from it. And the same thing with renting versus owning. Okay, great. I'm going to show you what your $1,700 is going to buy you. And then I'm going to show you what $50,000 more is going to buy you and how we can help you offset that cost and what wealth you're going to have as soon as you're done. And it's really getting people to look at the wealth, the return on investment, and getting them off the payment increase.
Yeah, or the effective rate. Yeah, I mean, or the effective payment, which we now cannot do unless someone is definitely going to do a Schedule A, an itemize. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I call that a pendulum in my practice. I've also call it a sliding scale, but I use the pendulum because, and not that it always works, because if they do come in and they're on the low side, that's the low side of the pendulum, right? Here's what what do you want your payment to be? What do you want your goal payment to be? 1,700. Here's what that'll get you. And then we swing the pendulum all the way to here's what you qualify for. And we laugh and giggle at it. And we have reasons why we can't do it anyway, right? Lack of cash, not willing to do it, right? But that's what you technically qualify for. And then we swing the pendulum back to something in the center where it settles in and give them something in between. And then share with them the difference between, I'm trying to do this on the computer or on the screen here for you, the difference between the 1,700 and, just like you mentioned, the 50,000, that this difference in payment is $250. So when you're looking at a $450,000 home and a $500,000 home, you're comparing the amenities that you get for that money to try to drive it down to the least common denominator. So we're not comparing 450 to 500. And we're not even really comparing payment to payment. We're comparing the difference, the delta between the two, and what the amenities are, because that difference could be a cul-de-sac versus a busy street. It could be an extra bedroom for grandma. It could be an extra, a finished basement, right? It could be a closer to the school that the kids want. And so you have to be able to assess what those amenities are and whether you're willing to pay that difference to get those amenities, and kind of drawing it down to that last part of that. But I think also what's important, like you said, Michelle, is the ROI. We know that majority of people in the country that own homes are wealthier than those that don't. And show them what the appreciation will look like. Show them the cost of waiting. You could turn a rent versus own into a cost of waiting. And letting them know that if they don't do it now, how much worse it's going to be in so many terms, right? But I'm amazed by the fact that people will buy, you and I were talking about this offline, Michelle, people will buy TVs, they'll buy cars with $600, $700, $900 car payments. At least that's what I see here in Washington, D.C., okay? All day long, no blinking of an eye. But boy, if the house payment's going to be $250 more, the whole world is falling apart. Right. And so I think that I always use this with my clients. It's better to know than wonder. And so let's know what we're dealing with than to wonder what could have happened. What if we had made the decision not to do this? What could have happened? So let's not wonder anymore. Let's know exactly what we're getting into. And then, of course, with most of us being CMPSs as well, and because we are mortgage coaches and we are really good at structuring, we can also look at structuring the loans in different ways. I mean, we may have to dig a little deeper when we do a rent versus own, to not make it so generic for a client, but dig a little deeper to find out maybe they don't have to put 10% down. Maybe they can put 5 or 3% down, and we divert those funds into paying off a non-preferred debt that is not tax deductible, like a car that has a $600 payment. And the net result is that they have a lower overall cash outlay every month when their concern is cash flow, as what was indicated in this question on our site. Does that make sense?
It does. And you brought up an excellent point, which is look we're not just selling an interest rate. We're selling an overall mortgage professional opinion
Strategy.
and its strategy. And if we can show them that their overall monthly debt is, hey, we're going to take $12,000 and pay off this $500 car payment. Now you've got $500 more in disposable income that you can put into your house. That's going to bring you more wealth. The other thing that I like to do is I always ask them when they say, oh, I don't think I can afford it. And I said, are your grandparents still alive? And they say, well, yes. And I said, will you do me a favor and call your grandmother when we're done and ask her what she paid for her first house, and then ask her what she sold it for. And I said, real estate is one of the best investments in the world. It doesn't matter if we go up and down. It's still going to bring you the best return on your investment, unless you luck out and bought Apple stock at $17 a share. It's still a very steady, stable, investment. Because most people, for me right now, is like, I think the market's going to crash, and I'll go, okay. So what happens if it does? Why does that matter? Are you trying to flip your house? And it's just, again, taking their mind off that $400 more jump in payment. Or for me here in Orange County, unfortunately, it's more like $1,200 more in payment. We have a lot of people still living at home, so sometimes that number is even a bigger delta. But just showing them what it's worth.
Well, and I think too, a lot of people have champagne taste on a beer budget. And because it's just the way it is, everybody has to have a new kitchen, has to have a new this, that, and the other. Gosh, when we bought our first house, it was 900 square feet for $46,000. Rate was, I think the rate was 14.875% on an FHA loan. We got a gift for the down payment. I mean, the whole kit, we were 19. So, but I mean, but we didn't have the best, grandest house. And for whatever reason, that's the thing now, is everybody's got to have a perfect, beautiful home. And, again, I think sometimes our job is to, set reality for people. And it helps our referral partners. I know my realtors love it when they say to me, Jen, do your magic and bring them down to earth. Bring them down to earth. And okay, got it. And so sometimes we have to be the bearer of that bad news, but it's also good news because it's helping them, to know rather than to wonder, and know what they can do today so they can make a good quality decision. And if they don't move forward, that's okay. We'll keep in touch. At least we're advising them and our conscience is clear. And I think that's, part of what we're doing too. Absolutely.
And something else I would do, Jen, is, so for some of those people that want to wait, and I have a lot of them that, last October are kicking themselves right now because they waited to buy, because they were trying to save money. And I'm really gentle in my delivery of it. And I'll say, hey, I'm just doing my 6-month check-in with you. Just want to let you know where everything's going right now. And I show them a cost of waiting analysis, and it will usually spur them. And I said, spur a phone call like, oh, I should have thought. And I said, well, doesn't mean you can't now. I said, let's start planning for the future. So that might be another way to bring value, and to the realtor partner that refers them to, because most realtors I know don't, once the people say, I'm not interested, they go on to, if they're in a drip campaign, that's a miracle. Realtors are getting so much better now at the drip campaigns, but it's some way for us to bring it back. Hey, I just spoke to John and he's ready to start looking. His lease is up in 3 months. Great time for you to reach out to him. So that might help as well.
That's great value. Yeah, that's great value right there that you're giving to your realtor. Definitely great value. And of course, and I think most of us do that too with our passive prospects, or our credit repair people. If you have people that are like that, is that we're doing that legwork to help our partners, whoever it is. And by the way, I do that a lot with my financial planners, because most of my business comes from financial planners, and so I do that with them as well, because sometimes clients just aren't ready to move forward, and they forget about the fact that they even referred the client to me, because all they're talking to them about is their assets. And so I'm keeping that going for that relationship as well. So I think that's a really valid point. Thank you for sharing that point with us. We really appreciate it. So we're almost at the top of the hour. We just have a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, Michelle, as we start closing out and giving everybody some actionable items?
No, the actionable item I would say, and again, I'm going to bring back to why this whole group started, is Darren Hardy. Is really, if you're not listening to Darren daily every day, just do it. It's 3 minutes of your day. I listen to it as I get up and get ready to go feed the horses or clean the stalls. And it really sets your day. And he brings some really valid points. And it's something that you can share, not with just your real estate professionals, but with your friends, your family. And all of my family listens to him because they love him. And it's always a great way to set your day. So if I was going to give you one actionable item, that would be it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good point. I love listening to him. He always inspires me. And, actually someone in our community posted something about API versus ANI. And and I'm sorry that I don't have your name, or it's not in front of me right now to give you the kudos on it, but you can go through and look at the video. But it's assuming API is assuming positive intentions and ANI is assuming negative intentions, right? Or you could walk around and be a half full or a half empty kind of person. The one thing that Darren does is that he fills my glass up every morning with positive things, right? Things that make me go, I need to adjust that. I didn't realize that. And, and I do share it with my family, especially as, they're going through trials and tribulations. I pop it over and say, hey, this might help you, So I think that's really important. And it is back to what we are all about here is productivity, not just growing our knowledge about expos and rent versus owns and scripting and what we should be doing, but also our productivity and how we can be more effective in a shorter period of time so we can have a really good life of quality, right? So, I would say from today's call, for those of you that and thanks, Rick. Thank you. He said thank you to us, Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would, as Todd always says, and I always have after this, I've got all my camera and my video all set up and everything. So I use my downtime as soon as we're finished here to now record a couple of my own videos. And sometimes I take the data from today to regurgitate it and say, one of the things I learned was this, that, and the other. And I use that. So take another half hour or so. And instead of diving back into the grind of what we do, take another half hour or so to dissect all these things. Next time you have an expo, put some of these ideas into a piece of paper, wherever you're going to keep it so that you don't forget. Next, go grab that script. Look for the script that Michelle will be posting a little bit later on. And I'll post the name of that book if I can find it. So I would just start do another total cost analysis for someone. Do one that incorporates a cost of waiting as well, so that it's prepared. It's top of mind, get it done, move on, and then get on with your busy day. So we just want to say thanks again for coming here, and keep your questions coming. And Dave's popping back on to say goodbye in the last minute.
Hey guys, so hopefully this was a valuable hour of your time. Michelle and Jen, you guys were awesome. Thanks for answering all the questions. Remember, folks, if you do have questions, post them in our Facebook group. Someone just posted a question asking me, what do I use to, stick on glass to do videos? This is what I use. I just put that link to the one that I use. By the way, there's a lot of others, but it really is a great strategy, especially when you travel, where you can be in a hotel room, put this on a window, you get front lighting for your face, and now you can create videos anywhere and everywhere. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks again, Michelle and Jen. Take care, guys.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
By the way, please like it and share it if you're getting value from it. Make sure you play it forward. Take care.
Bye.